If you want to rent an apartment or a house in Brazil, keep watching. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Mills and I'm back with another video. So in this video I'm going to be talking about renting a house or an apartment in Brazil. Renting a house in Brazil depends on the city where you're living in. In larger cities, you can have more renting amount depending on many factors. If you want a studio, if you want one room apartment, if you want a shared apartment, or if you want a furnished apartment or an unfurnished apartment. So you need to know all these different types, and it also depends on you. It depends on your budget as well. If you're someone who is on budget, you're going to look for apartments that are cheaper. If you're somebody who is average, you want to look for apartments that will fit you, your income, or depending on your budget. Two types of rentals. You have the short-term rental and you have the long-term rental. Everybody can do the short-term rental. Even on a tourist visa, you can do the short-term rental, which lasts from 1 day until 6 months. For long-term rental, you must be a resident, either temporary resident or permanent resident. Before we get into the video, I just want to teach you a little bit of Portuguese. Maybe you're alone looking for a house to rent and you are not very good in Portuguese, or maybe your computer is difficult to translate to English, because I'm going to be leaving a link of some websites where you can check on rent in different cities. So I just want to give you the names in Portuguese and in English so that when you see it, it's going to be easy for you to know what it means. The first one is aluga temporário, which means temporal rental. Posada is like an apart hotel. Fiador is like a co-signer. Quarto, room. Dormitorium, bedroom. Banheiro, bathroom. Cozinha, kitchen. Mobiliário, furnished. Anda, floor. Vender, to sell. Aluguel, to rent. Tipo de imóvel, types of property. Valor máximo, maximum value. Cidade, city. Bairro, district. These are the basic words you can use to search online from the website if it's actually in Portuguese. The short-term rentals, like I said, is maximum 6 months, and all the requirements you'll be needing is your CPF and your passport. Then you're going to sign the contract, you decide the price that you want with the person. And for the short term, most of the times they are furnished. The websites will show you everything. If it has Wi-Fi, if you're going to pay your bills by yourself, you're going to discuss that with the contract. And most of the times the contract is also in Portuguese, so you have to make sure you translate it and all of that. You know utilities, what to pay, utilities, what you shouldn't do, what you should do, the fines you're going to pay, penalty if you do that. It's very important to go through the contract before you sign it. The long term is different and a little bit complicated. So the long term, minimum 12 months. So you have to stay there 12 months before you think of leaving. First requirement, CPF. You'll be needing proof of income. This is very important. You should have a proof of income. You have to show that you can pay for that rent 3 times. Your total income should show that you can pay for the rent. Some people maybe for 2 months or for 3 months. Then you'll be needing your resident card, be temporal or permanent. When you're renting long term, you need a guarantor. Like I explained in my cost of living video, in my own case, I had to pay insurance to guarantee them. Now, how do you get cheaper rents? The first thing is, if you want to bargain, you can discuss directly with the owner. But if you're using like an agency or a website, it's difficult for them to discount you. Okay, another thing is to stay further away from the city. If you rent away from the city, you're going to get a cheaper price. You can do like a shared rent, okay? This is very good for those who are single. Here for the shared apartment, you can get a single room. You'll be sharing the other parts, like the kitchen area, the living room area is going to be shared, the barbecue area, and condominium tax and all of that is going to be shared. Mind you, most of the apartments have maximum number of people to live in. For example, my apartment, a maximum of 5 people can live there, okay? And we're now 3, so 2 extra people can add. But if like more than 5, I think you have to pay something extra. Now the next thing is how much is the rent in Brazil. Depends on many factors, the area and the city where you're living in, the square meters of the apartment. It also depends on that. It depends on the number of rooms of the apartment. It also depends if the apartment is furnished or not. And it also depends if it is a shared apartment or not. Now it ranges from at least 800 reals until maybe an average of 1,000 reals. Now for those who want to relieve extra and extra, they could get 4,000, 5,000. It depends on your budget as well. Except you're living in the areas where the outskirts, you can get them for like 400, 500 real, 600 real. Now there's also something you need to take note of: when to pay your rent. Most of the times they'll tell you when to pay the rent, maybe until the 5th of the next month. And if you don't pay the rent, you're going to pay 2% of the total rent. Also, you need to know about the condominium tax. It is usually included to the fees. The condominium tax includes the shared area. If your apartment has swimming pool, gym, playground for the kids, you have to pay condominium tax. And also there is something called the tax you have to pay, IPTU tax. So it depends on if the owner wants to pay for that tax, or the owner will tax you to pay for that tax. It takes me to the last thing. If you're going to end your contract, just know you're going to pay penalty fee. So it depends on your contract, okay? If you're going to leave before the required time frame, you have to pay a penalty fee, maybe half of your rent, or you have to pay full rent for that month that you're leaving, or it depends on the agreement that you have with the owner. That is pretty much everything about renting in Brazil. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comment section. If you find this video interesting, make sure you leave a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get more videos like this. With that being said, ciao.